Come up in the bottom of the third, 8-9-1 for the Rockies against Jeff Locke, Dustin Garneau, Chad Bettis, and then Corey Dickerson. And the first pitch from the left-hander is in there for a strike, and as promised.
We promised.
We promised
you were coming.
we didn't watch up here. We'd rather be watching you down there. First and foremost, how's the knee doing?
It's good. Yeah, you guys promised. It just took me a little while because I had to hobble up here. But knee's doing good. Everything's right on schedule, if not ahead. It's just at that point right now where we're just kind of taking it nice and easy. So we'll see where it goes.
Mac, will you be able to hit spring training full go, or will you still be in the rehabilitation process at that point?
I'm sure they'll be a little careful, but I'll be full go. The ultimate goal is to pretty much have the normal off season, get into catching, maybe late January, early February, which is pretty normal. I'll work on receiving and footwork and stuff, like always, but actually catching bullpens and blocking and stuff, which I usually don't do till late anyway. So it's going to be pretty normal for me.
Garneau to Mercer, 1 out. I know you've been watching these guys carefully with Garneau coming up and Tom Murphy. They seem really quiet behind the plate. Seems like they're handling themselves quite nicely, and they're throwing out some big hits.
I got to throw some love to my man, Mark Strittmatter, our catching coordinator. He's done a great job. I've gotten to see both of those guys grow over time. I was here before Garneau was here, and he's really, really grown. And Murph, he's got a lot of tools. He's really special. I was calling him the new I-Man. He's got a lot of similar tools to I-Man. I think his ceiling may be even higher, if not a lot higher.
You're talking about Chris Iannetta?
Yeah, Chris Iannetta. So, yeah, they've been fun to watch. The way they've handled the staff, the questions they've asked. Garneau came in one day and just asked me, he's like, what's it like to be a backup? What do I need to do? How can I get better? When you have a guy do that, that's something special, and that's fun to see.
Well, it's somebody, too, that recognizes maybe where he is talent-wise. And I think, and again, all my years in baseball, and you're a great example of it, that if you are a backup guy, you're not the bad guy on the roster. You're the good guy.
Right.
Because a lot of guys think, they get a couple of hits, they hit a home run. Why aren't I catching every day? Why aren't I playing every day? And it's accepting the role, and you can have a long, illustrious career at the big league level doing your job behind the plate.
Right. You need that from everybody. Everybody needs to accept their role. You may be, G, me, it doesn't matter who it is. We may be able to start for another team, but the team we're on at the given moment, we need to accept the role and try to embrace it as much as possible and be as good as we can on every single day with it. If we don't, we're not helping our team the way we should.
It appears that you and Nick Conley, work as a team, and Nick gets more starts, as we know, than you do, but you guys work as a team with that group down there in the bullpen and the guys who are starting.
Absolutely. It's very unselfish. We try to help each other every single day. Whether I'm catching or he's catching, we talk before the game, we talk after the game, we talk during the game. If I see something he's catching, like, hey, this guy's really doing a good job of making adjustments, his feet are moving up in the box or back in the box, just to try to help us ultimately win the game. Because at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. We take ego and everything else out of it, and we try to figure out how can we win today.
Dickerson with Bettis at first after Locke lost focus for a moment and walked the opposing pitcher. That pitch is outside.
And I've said this a lot too, Mike. I've said, the loss is as much on the catcher as it is the pitcher, because you're just guiding me through this. And I think that's the point where you're receiving those pitches. You may think it's a pretty good time to go change up here, but boy, you're throwing 2 really good sliders in a row. Let's go back to that slider again. And I think it's your job to sell it in his mind. You throw me the nasty slider, we're out of the inning.
Absolutely. I mean, every single day I go out there, whether I'm catching or not, I feel like it's partly my responsibility. If we lose, I take it hard because I have a responsibility to let these guys know exactly what I believe is true, what I see, and then we kind of banter back and forth to have a certain game plan. But the in-game adjustments, like you just said, maybe his best pitch is that changeup, and he wants to go to it, but it's not the right time. His slider's been outstanding. That's when you have to say, hey, come on, maybe I put it down 3 or 4 times in a row, which I know you've seen through video, and they see that conviction in my heart, and then all of a sudden they get the conviction, they make the pitch, and over time they get that confidence with me, with Nick, whoever's catching.
The other question I want to ask you too, because it was big for me. I may not have a slider in the first inning, but I think it's very important that a catcher work his pitcher in between innings, because now all of a sudden he's got a release point on the slider. throw the ball down to second, you go out and, hey, slider's back. Don't be surprised, I'm going to be calling it, but the slider's back. Those 8 pitches in between innings are very important.
Absolutely. Even sometimes you need to work on it. Maybe it's a first pitch to, the first guy of the inning. Like, I was just talking to Gurka a minute ago, and I was telling him last night he was getting on the side of the baseball instead of having that good angle that he's been working on. That's how Dickey just got a hit like he always does. That guy can absolutely rake, by the way.
We've noticed.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. He's one of the best hitters I've played with and seen ever. But going back to Gurka, I was just telling him he was getting away from himself yesterday, and the ball was kind of leaking back over the plate, and he didn't have the stuff he had that previous outing where he, 6 up, 6 down. It was really special. And I told him, I said, you should have thrown that curveball, got on top of it, throw right in the dirt, whether it was in warm-ups or a first pitch to somebody, because all of a sudden that gets his hand out, it gets his tempo going, and that rhythm comes back, and then he can make those pitches that he wants to make.
I'm going to brag on our catching core a little bit right now, Michael. You may not know this, but as a group, you've hit 271. That's third best. Third best at the Major League National League level in the National League. 19 home runs are fourth best. And the RBIs, 75 is fourth best. That's a pretty good group of guys working there together. I mean, you put those numbers out, and you say, well, this guy. No, you put them together because that's what it is, and then you get these kind of numbers. That's pretty impressive.
That is, and I gotta give Hundley a lot of love. I mean, he had a tremendous year. He made some big adjustments in the offseason with Blake, and he stuck to his game plan. I know at times he wanted to hit for a little bit more power and all kinds of stuff, but he stuck to it, and it was awesome.
Adames beats the return throw, so it's first and third, 2 outs, and that will allow Arenado to hit with the Rockies trailing 1-0 in the bottom of the third. Yeah, Nick was able to sustain the approach that he took into spring training, and I know he worked hard. You alluded to it with Blake Doyle in the offseason, getting a new guy, new relationship. And what have you found with hitting coaches? You've been in the league now for a while. You're with the Pirates. You were originally with the Rockies. And you've worked with different hitting instructors. First of all, for you guys to get here, you all have to be really, really good to begin with. So it's not like you're reinventing the wheel. But what makes a good hitting coach? Is it more a personal thing, being able to click with one guy?
I think it has something to do with the personal relationship you have with that guy. But I think it's just the belief they have in you. Someone that can really pour into you and tell you how good you are even when you're not that good. But ultimately at the big league level, I took it upon myself. I want to know myself so well that I can make minor adjustments as the game goes on. And maybe my hitting coach just throws out a key here, a key there. Maybe he just does it like in a mirror situation where he actually shows me what I'm doing. The best hitting coaches are the ones that can, no matter what's going on, some way to find a positive out of a negative, because this game is such a negative reinforced game. You go 3 out of 10, you're doing really, really well. You have a bad 100 at bats, everybody's panicking. When Cargo's a great example. I mean, his first 200 bats were really bad. The guy on the Pirates and McCutchen and Josh Harrison, 130 bats in, those guys aren't even hitting 200. People were panicking, but they weren't. They knew that eventually it was going to come out, and they've had a great year. And you've seen what Cargo's done. I mean, it's just been outstanding. So it's guys that can kind of keep you that level. You're not riding the roller coaster. And Blake Doyle does a great job. I mean, if you've ever been around him, he's very, very bubbly. He's always smiling. He loves the game. He loves his guys.
Base hit, and the Rockies tie it up. Guess who? Nolan Arenado. And here comes the green light for Adames, and he'll score. Another double for Arenado, and the Rockies take a 2-1 lead. He is an RBI machine, man. He can smell him out, can't he? That's how you drive in 117.
Big hits with 2 outs. Just a great pressure hitter. Never gives in. And then Locke makes a mistake with a pitch up and out over the plate, and he just shot it right by the shortstop into left center field. And McCutchen thought he could chase this thing down, but it had a lot of heat behind it. And Adames rounded second, picking up Stu, and there's no hesitation. Why not? Make them make the play. They couldn't. Now back to the hitting coach thing too, or pitching coach. I know as I teach, the number one thing I got to do is become your friend first. So you have trust in what I'm telling you. If I walk in and say, Michael, your hands are too high, you got to drop them right now, you're never going to hit here. First thing you're going to do, that brick wall is going to come up pretty hard. that this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. But if you become their friend and you ask all the right questions, how's it feel to you? What are you feeling right now? This is what I'm seeing, but what do you feel? You tell me what you're feeling. And I think that makes the biggest difference in the world.
Absolutely. You know, you take the ego out of it, and some of the best hitting coaches I've ever had, Blake Doyle's done this before, is just, especially this year for me, you know, I was playing hurt a lot of this year, and he kept me level-headed. He just reminded me constantly, your #1 job is to handle this pitching staff, not worry about your swings, just have quality at bats the best you can, and try to win the baseball game. And you know what ended up happening, where we won a lot more games than we lost when I was behind the plate, and I loved it. I thought it was a good way to look at the game, but it's because he just sat back and said, I know this guy's hurting, he's struggling a little bit, I'm not going to force the issue, I'm just going to say, hey, do your thing, keep it simple. And it was great. I mean, he did a great job with me, and I've seen him do that with a lot of guys.
54 of 117 RBIs for Arenado with 2 outs.
That's special.
How about
That's
that?
really special.
And Locke really was being careful, as if he walked him, he felt like it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world with a good hitter behind him, but not of the having the same kind of year that man is. So Nolan Arenado drives in a pair, and the Rockies have a 2-1 lead as we go to the 4th.